So we're on page 10. The paragraph is Samach Tes 69. Yesh lishteif es ale hachasa heitev. One should wash the leaves of the romaine lettuce well. Michsha shrotzim ktanim anidbokim eleho. Out of concern.
Who composed this?
Rabbi Bucket. Rabbi Bucket, who just passed away a month ago from COVID. So it's in his memory that we're learning this for his neshama. His father was a Rosh Yeshiva of mine in Lubavitch Yeshiva when I was in Beis Medrash. Okay,
he was Israeli or American?
He was an American, one of the Rebbe Shluchim. The Rebbe sent Shluchim. I got to go on because you have a lot to cover. I would love to talk, but I can't. Out of concern that there are many bugs attached there. Skip the parentheses. After you rinse them, don't forget to dry well the leaves of the chasa, of the romaine lettuce. The reason is because Chabad is very particular not to make the matzah wet. It's called shruya. Chabad is very careful about shruya. So therefore, if you have wet romaine lettuce and it touches matzah, it's technically shruya. So therefore, dry it very well. And this is not simple. Gebrachts, right. Ubefrat, and specifically, b'shvil ha'koyrech, when you do the sandwich, because then you put matzah on top, so you don't want the matzah to get wet. Efshel lasses is gam b'leil seder. So he says this, the drying and the rinsing of the romaine lettuce, you don't have to do on Friday like the other items that we mentioned yesterday. This can be done the night of the night of the Seder, Motzei Shabbos this year. Tzorach l'chaven es mei hamelech me'be'oid yom. Tzorach l'hachen, you have to prepare the salt water from Friday. V'im shachach, and if you forgot, yachen lo'isel lefnei ha'suda, then you should prepare it before the suda, k'dei tzorach ha'tibul, so that you have what to dip into. So that's the halacha. It's best to do it Friday. If you forget, you do it right before the suda. 71, ayin aleph. Mevashlim esabeya, you cook the egg. Shetzrichim liyes ala kaira at sheyiskashu me'ba'oid yoim. It should be on the plate until it becomes very hard. V'im shochach lasa zois hayoim, and if you forget to do it today, yivashlim b'leil hachag al eish lukash yesh loy. Then you should, you're supposed to make a little burn on the egg. Do it on the Motzei Shabbos on a pre-lit fire that's on anyway for your cooking. Okay. Now, to yesterday's question, I spoke to a friend. It's up to everyone if they want to do Yehi Ratzon Friday like the Rebbe did 2 times that we know of. Do it. If you want to do the way most others do it on Shabbos. So there's nothing to discuss. It's open-ended. We do not know. Let's go on.
Rebbe, question.
Yes.
Question. I'm sorry, Reb Tov. I want to ask, because this year Shabbos is Erev Pesach, right? Bedikas Chametz, we still do those Thursday night? We don't do it, let's say, Friday? I mean, I don't understand.
You're supposed to do Bedika at night because it's better for the search when it's dark. You see more what's in the cracks.
And you're not allowed to do it on Shabbos?
No, you're not allowed to do it on Shabbos, no. It's muktzah.
So do you say a bracha, though? You say a bracha even though it's early?
Yes. You have a chiyuv to do bedika 30 days before, and if you go away from your house the week before, you have to make a bracha. So yeah, of course you have to make a bracha.
Okay.
I urge you to look into the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and the laws are all spelled out over there. Okay, Shabbos Kodesh, Yudalad Nisan, Erev Pesach, Shabbos Hagadol, Suda Shabbos. 72. Eitza Pshuta Ukala. Bevashlim Kol HaMeichlim Shel Shabbos Kshem Kshedim LePesach. You cook all the foods for Shabbos when they're kosher for Pesach. V'oz kol ha'mecholim shenechal b'seder Shabbos you shall Pesach and kelim shall Pesach. He's making a suggestion. You don't have to do it this way. It should basically be a Pesach dika meal with Pesach kelim chutz mechatichas halechem, except a piece of bread. Bascholas hasuda, the beginning of the suda, l'kayim b'lechem mishnah, to do the lechem mishnah. Shoyichol oisen nechal b'pinas habayis, eat it in the corner, b'mapesa, the b'chotz, in the porch or the yard. Lo yili yad shulchan, not next to the shulchan, so that it doesn't crumble. Skip the brackets. Ula'achrei zeh menakim es habgodim. After you eat the bread, you clean your clothing, mikol haperudim, from all the little pieces. V'gam haperudim shenofla al ritzba, and then there are pieces that fell onto the floor, so you should clean the floor in that spot. V'achar kach mamshichim esudas haShabbos kerogel k'mo Shabbos. And then just continue your Suda the normal way. This is the easiest and best way to avoid more difficulties with Chametz Erev Pesach. Yudalad Nisan, Shabbos, Yudalad Nisan, Erev Pesach is the birthday of the Rambam. Yes, L'Tznatzel, all the Shiurim of the Rambam. Okay, we're going to skip on to 70, Ayin Dalad, sorry. Mikivin Shabbat Pesach, Einas Man Masam Lerech Isvadus. Since there's not a time to make a fabrengen, therefore you shall make a fabrengen for, I guess, Erev Pesach previously. Let's go to Ayin Hey. Shabbos HaGodel. Why is it called Shabbos HaGodel? Nikra Kain. L'fishenasa b'nes Godel, because a great miracle was done then. The anniversary of Lamake Mitzrayim b'Vchoreim, the firstborns of the Egyptian firstborns had a civil war with the firstborn with the Egyptians. The Chazal arranged it to be on Shabbos before Pesach. The Shabbos before Pesach, regardless of what the day is. V'karo Shabbos HaGodel. Bashi, she threw my yarmulke off. Can you give me my yarmulke, please? And she called it Shabbos HaGodel, Shehoisa Boy Hascholos HaGeula V'Nisim, page 11, because it was the beginning of the miracle. Hasimcha b'Shabbosu v'chol inyana. The Simcha, Hachana LePesach, K'may Melibot Ilchos Pesach, preparing for Pesach, the halachas, Hachana LeYodim U'Leila, preparing the children, Sheyodos Arba Kushis, V'Shar in Yonah Seder, Tzrichim Lios Eitz Kol Echad V'Echem Yisrael B'Eifel Shel Gadlus. It's called Shabbos HaGodol. So he says, everything should be Godol about the Shabbos. The learning, the preparation. It shouldn't be just a sleepy Shabbos. It should be a great Shabbos. Okay, Ayin Zayin. Shachrish, HaShabbos Mashkimim L'Spalo. Most shuls daven very early. Bisnash Tovshin Lamadalit Kitkviyah Shashona. In 1974, it was just like this year. Nichtas HaRebbe l'Shachris b'Shas 7. The Rebbe came to daven Shachris 7 o'clock in the morning. Uv'Shas in 1977 and 81, which was the same like this year, he came actually 6:45. Yesh li zoyres hashliach tzibur balakriya v'agaboyim sh'loy laharech b'tfila. You shouldn't send someone to the Yomot who's going to do a cantorial rendition of davening and the balkriya and all that. This is not the time for it. And the Gaboyim shouldn't, spend hours in making mishabeirachs and things like that. It's got to be Chach Tayim Shalosh. The Rebbe Rashab sent over a chazan who davened very quickly this Shabbos morning. Ayin Ches, Haftorah. What's the Haftorah? Va'orva Lashem from Malachai. Why? Because if you look into the Haftorah, and I hope you do this Shabbos, it says, Heviu ha-meiser al-beisa oitzer. They brought the meiser to the treasure house. Ve'erev Pesach. And we know that Erev Pesach, in the 4th and 7th years of the Shemitah, when we held the laws of Shemitah, whose man beer the meiseris, you have to get rid of the meiseris and bring him into the house.
Maybe you mean next Shabbos, not this coming Shabbos.
Right, exactly, yeah. Right, next Shabbos.
No, because
Ayin Tes. Heichel meboiker Erev Pesach, Malois HaShachar, starting for the morning of Erev Pesach. Osem and Adin Lechel Matzah, Gam Matzah Mechuna. You're forbidden to eat matzah, even machine matzah. Because machine matzah technically is kosher for Pesach, chas v'shalom to say otherwise. Therefore, you're forbidden.
Rebbe, this came up. Rebbe, this question came up in Shir a couple of days ago with Reb Shlomo, and he didn't have an answer. We were talking about what do you do this coming next Shabbos regarding Lechem Mishnah.
You take 2 pitas and you eat pita and challah. What's the problem?
No, because he was saying that Shlomo was saying that he says at night it's not a problem, but during the day you have to finish eating chametz by 10:30 or something, so 10:28.
What's the problem? You daven at 6:30 in the morning, you'll be finished 8:30, and you can be finished by 10. No problem. Our custom is not to eat on Shabbos day any of the food items or drink items that are used for charoises, yayin, tapuchim, apples, agosim, vaguzim, or the items of mamora, chasa, the chazeres, romaine lettuce, red lettuce, ad acha koirich. So you don't eat any of those items till after koirich at the Seder. Avol beyim, but eggs, v'tapuchi adam, and potatoes, muter lechol, you're allowed to eat even Erev Pesach, Shabbos. Number pay. Mutter, let's go to the next paragraph. Mutter lechol chomer that saves Sharavias in Eretz Yisrael. Looks like here it's 10:42. Let's skip the parentheses. La'achem mikein yesh lidkois v'letatei hakoil. You should clean and sweep everything. La'hashel chazapurum la'aslo la'tziyim mechutz l'sheisenu. Put it in the garbage or take it out of your property. V'im nishe chametz v'sheisenu. And if there is still a chametz, yesh lepoigmoi kolil al yedei okanamika or saba noisli. I don't know. This is some. You have to make the chametz invalid that it's possible lachilas kelef. So he's suggesting to put some kind of powder or dish soap, which is considered not kosher royal lachilas kelef. And this should be done. This should be done lifnei zman abir before 11:30. What?
Your economic is very powerful. Very innocent.
Okay. Pei aleph. La'acha niku v'kilu hachometz. After you do that, oimrim kol chamira sheni. So right. So now we do the second kol chamira. Uboy mevatlim is kol hachom, and we annul all chametz shematzonu v'shalei matzonu. Chametz that we found and chametz that we didn't find. Hanusach she'imrim. What is the nusach? He gives us the nusach. Let me just do the targum on the fourth line to Hebrew, because you must understand what you're saying. Must. You have to read it in another language, or at least do a translation of the Aramaic. Kol chametz v'soirish yesh b'resusi. Any sourdough that I saw and I didn't see. That I checked, I didn't check. That I destroyed, I didn't destroy. Yizbatel should be annulled. V'yehefker kaf aretz should be annulled and be like the dust of the earth. Okay, let's go to Pei Beis. Mutter lechel peiros v'yirokim basav v'lokim. You're allowed to eat fruits, vegetables, fish, meat all day Shabbos. We know from the 10th hour, there's a halacha, you're not supposed to eat a full meal. So in other words, in the afternoon, you can have any of these items, but not stuff yourself. Page
what about Shal Shudas?
I don't think so. Let's see what he says, but I don't think so. Well, let's see. Tfilas Mincha, Kohen B'Teira, Pasha Shmini. Mincha, we read, it's Pasha Shmini, and we don't say it's at Koscha. Achat Tfilas Mincha Imrim, Chelik Me'agoda, we say a part of the Goda from Avodah Meginu to L'chapar HaKol V'Neseinu. L'fi Kisha Oz Hoysa, because then on Shabbos HaGodel was the beginning of the Geula, of the redemption and the miracles. 85, Pehei, Achakach Koyde Mashkia, Imrim, say the Korbon Pesach. Then we say the Korbon Pesach. V'tzorach Adam Ayore V'achored, and a person who is fearful for the Dvar Hashem Likrisoise bizmanoi shetale kriyose b'mokim hakrivose. He has to read it in a place. V'yidak al churban abayis, and he should be careful. He should be anxious about the destruction. V'yischanel lefnei Hashem b'yda olam, and he should pray before Hashem. She'yibona oisem meiru yameinu. Next paragraph. Lishtadel lahavin Seder Korbon Pesach. This is important. A lot of people don't do this. They just read it. They don't know what they're saying. It's important to understand what you're saying, what the process. So, we have today in the Art Scroll, in the Chabad Siddur, and many other Siddurim, a translation in English. Now, it's best if you have a chance, and this year, really, it's not excusable. You have a whole Shabbos. By us, we changed the clock. You guys didn't, but you still have time. Shabbos. Take out a Siddur, and if need be, take out a Mishnayos, and know what you're doing when you're saying the order of the Korbon Pesach. The blood and the cup and the sprinkling. So at least know the translation. Again, even if you don't, you fulfill the idea, but it's not in the spirit. And look what he says. The Rebbe Rashab, Lamad, he puts it in bold. Lamad, he learned as Seder Korbon Pesach, v'cheinoa gam Rebbe Rayatz. And so also the Frierdiker Rebbe. So the Gimel Yaser Abasa V'Dogim, the third meal should do with fish and meat, or Bini Peiris, Shivas Haminim.
Rabbi Dalton.
Yes.
Rabbi Dalton, sorry to interrupt. The Seder Korbon Pesach, you just mentioned learn Mishnayos. Where would we find the Seder? Do you know where we would find the Seder Korbon Pesach? Not? Take
out your Siddur, on the bottom there's a reference.
Fine.
I believe it's in Kachim somewhere. It's in Sechtes. It's Pesachim. I believe it's Pesachim. But the exact, but take it out on the bottom. There's a reference. You'll find it. Okay, but I believe it's Pesachim. But check. Don't rely on that. Check it yourself, please. Okay, now here he says Yoni about the Shalashu, the Sudas Gimel Yaser Abasav Adogim. You shouldn't wash then. Just have some meat or fish or mina peiris from shivas aminim bebeim or b'shar b'biyakis. So that's the answer. No one's going to be washing for sure the shlishis. You're not allowed to because it's already it's erev chag, right. and also you're not allowed to have bread. And you're not allowed to have matzah. So you're stuck. Okay.
I'm assuming also earlier. Meaning to do Shalashudas earlier than normal, not 5 o'clock.
You could do it whenever you want. You could do it whenever you want. After Mincha, after 1:32, after the Chatzos.
No, but I thought you're supposed to not eat before the Seder. I thought there's a whole Indian that you're supposed to have an appetite for the Seder.
So we just learned earlier. You're allowed to eat all day, and not eat a lot to stuff yourself. You can eat till 5 o'clock or 6, whatever, till there's man, you can eat. But you shouldn't make a meal without bread. You're going to have a lot of eggs, 7 eggs, and 12 potatoes. You won't have any room for the Seder. But you are allowed to eat until the Shkia. There's nothing wrong. Also,
what about egg matzah?
Okay, so egg matzah, I would say egg matzah is only till Erev Shabbos, the time when you're allowed to eat chametz. The reason why egg matzah is mutter is because if you're not sick, you're not supposed to eat egg matzah on Pesach, right?
Right.
It's for someone who's not well. So therefore, it's right.
I'm talking about Erev Pesach.
Right. So you're allowed to eat it. Erev Pesach, no. You're allowed to eat it till 10:30 in the morning. That's it.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can eat it later. I have to check. I don't want to say.
Okay.
Okay. So there's Gimel Yatz. So we said Pei Zayin. Also lahachem umma. Yonis mentioned this yesterday. You're forbidden to prepare anything. Avur a Seder Pesach of Neit Seis HaKochovim. before it's dark. Anything for the Seder is not allowed to be prepared, regardless of who's coming over and what's the time and all that. It's a halacha. I mean, those that keep the halacha, this is the halacha. And sometimes people play around, they prepare the chairs, they prepare this, they prepare that. Technically, you're not allowed to do that until Tzeisek Kechovim, because it's considered Mechin, Hachona, and you're not allowed to do that. Let's continue. Leil Seder. So now we're going to the night, the Motzei Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos Kodesh Achad Zechovim Achad Til Sarev V'Yamiras Baruch HaMelech Kodesh. After you do that, Matlikos, you light Me'esh Shehudlik Lefnei Shabbos, from a candle that's been lit Erev Shabbos, right? Right? Because you're not allowed to turn on and make a new fire. So, like, what did we learn? You have to have like a yahrzeit licht or something that's pre-lit, or just, have a pre-lit fire. Every child should light Shabbos candles from 3 and on. And Shechiyonu, the women make 2 brachas. Because we make a Shechiyonu in our Kiddush, right? Which, by the way, the women don't repeat the Shechiyonu by the Kiddush. Right? We do, they don't. Because they make already a Shechiyonu by lighting the licht for the Yom Tov. We make the Shechiyonu when we make the Kiddush.
They can say Amen.
Of course they can say Amen. Why? They must say halachically they have to say, and they have to say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemai. They're not being yotze in our Shechiyonu.
Okay.
But this is important because sometimes the women don't know and they make a Shechiyonu. It's a Baruch Hu Levatol. Peites, number Peites. As a neder shemavarchem olav yeshladich b'mokim sheyira elayim kol mishem kadosh al yain. So we spoke about this yesterday, that the candle should be lit so that when we men make havdalah, when we make kiddush, we should see the candles. Kedai sheb'shas hasuda yoshuchon lefachas ner dol kechad. So he says, again, this is his recommendation. You don't have to do it this way. There should be at least 1 candle. From those candles that you lit. But, if you see them and they're not on the table, it's fine. Tzaddik. Bizman. Shehagvorim mispalalim. The time when the men daven. Because that's already Ma'ariv time, right? So the women can prepare. The Seder Shulchan, Vakelim, but everything, the only thing they don't prepare is the Kaila, because that's our job. Which we do before when we come from shul. But I want to say, let's say public Seders, like my daughter does in Tel Aviv and all that. Of course, the women, the volunteers and people can all prepare that after Ma'ariv without a problem. They don't have to wait for my son-in-law to come home to start preparing the tables. On the contrary, they don't want to do that because as soon as he comes in from shul, they want to make kiddush because it's late. Okay, let's go. Tzaddik. Tzaddik Aleph. Minig Beis Harav. This is the minig of the Rebbe's household, the Kabbalah Medor V'Dor from each generation. Lahaskels Haseder Rishon take Vachat Tfilos Ha'arif to start right away. B'Shvila Tinoikesh LeYishanu, that the children should fall asleep. V'Shloi Laharach Ba, the Rabbeim that were not, they didn't elaborate on the first night Seder. K'dei Lecha Avikoyim Koydem Chatzos Halayla, in order to eat the Avikoyim before midnight. Loikein Seder Hasheni. By them, the Seder Hasheni, they would go deep into the night, late into the night. And the Rebbe, the particular Rebbe, elaborated to Torah and Evaydis. So that was the way the Lubavitch Rabbeim did it. The first night they finished before Chatzos, and the second night they went much later. Tzaddik Beis. This is Chabad custom. We do not wear a kittel l'seder, and this is very different than all other chassidim, I believe, that do wear a kittel. Chabad does not wear a kittel at the seder. We're not careful to what side, east, west, south, north, we sit your place should be. We're not careful about that. Page 13. Ala Shulchan HaSeder Letzei Rebbe, by the Rebbe's Seder, the wine was in a silver, what's it called? A kankan. But the Rebbe himself used a glass bottle, wrapped around with a paper bag, because he was concerned that, I don't know, non-Jews, or maybe not religious Jews, who knows, shouldn't see it or touch it. So he had his own bottle wrapped around that way. There was not fancy vessels on the table, dishes, that wasn't necessary. The Tzemach Tzedek, the Admor Tzemach Tzedek, Omer leKalosi Rabbanis Rivka, he said to his daughter-in-law, the Rebbe Marash's wife, Rebbe Rivka, Sheva Pesach tzarech licha shulchan es kol kesef, that on Pesach you have to put out all your best silverware, vazav shabayis, and your goldware in the house. Zochel rechush hagodol shei b'tzis Mitzrayim, to commemorate the massive amount of wealth that was in the spoils of Yetzias Mitzrayim, but that's what the Tzemach Tzedek told his daughter-in-law. But the Rebbe says that he says here what on the table of the Rebbe's shulchan we didn't find that in an elaborate way, more than the usual. That's what he says. But when the Rebbe conducted the Seder in his father's apartment from 1950 to 1971, those years, his mother-in-law was still alive, and the Seder was in his mother-in-law's apartment upstairs in 770. That's what he's referring to here. There was one item that was on the table, which was a silver silver tray of the Alter Rebbe. They had in the family Yerusha. I believe they also had a silver spoon of the Alter Rebbe, and they would use it for the soup, I think. In the middle of the table, you have a kois shel yo. Eitzel Rebbe is a kois gedola shel zchus l'shkufa. It just shows you the Rebbe's kois shel yo was a large glass, nothing fancy. It's we're not Rebbes, but it puts things into perspective, Because I have to have a fancy kois shel yo. Yeah, what does it say? And I have to spend, if you can't afford it, a nice glass is fine. If it's good for the Lubavitch Rebbe, it's good for you. Tzadik Dalet, sorry. HaRebbe lo yamesav al mita. The Rebbe did not recline on a bed. El yoshev al kisei lelo yodiyos. He actually sat on a chair that had no handles. And therefore he couldn't put really pillows there. There was a chair to his left, and on that chair it had two pillows. And he says, Kach nog admur mariatz. That's the way the previous Rebbe did. So they basically leaned over. And again here, you're allowed to have a comfortable leaning chair. It's no Aveda, but again, those that don't have it, don't make a whole balakana to say there, I remember when we were kids, everyone should have a pillow, and that's a nice thing, but let's not, go overboard. If you don't have it, just like this. You lean over to the left, yeah?
What's the reason that Chabad doesn't have a kittel? I never heard of such a thing, and everyone wears a kittel.
I'm glad you came to the shiur this morning, so you heard it. It doesn't say a reason. Chabad is very simple when it comes to these things. There's no fanfare. Everything is it's pneumius. The Chabad motto is pneumius. I'm not saying, it's important if you're wearing a kapota, Shabbos, it should be silk because it says in Zohar, the Rebbe, I'm not poo-pooing, but overall, I don't see a reason. I don't have a reason right now that I know of. But again, if it's your minute to wear kittel, and then you should do that. You shouldn't be mavatal it. If a person wants to keep Chabad minhagim, they have to be consistent. Then, if you're going to be consistent, then you wouldn't wear a kittel. But it's important to if you're not sure, you could say b'li neder. You could say b'li neder, and because you don't know if you want to make this a regular minig. So it's the person has to think about what direction they're going in, what they want to have minhagim, but the pure Chabad minig is not to wear kittel. There's not even a question about it. I mean, and Chabad gets chastised for it. Trust me. It's one of the, like not eating shalosh shudas or not washing shalosh shudas. There's several things that the world really gives it. It's different minhagim. I mean, by Chassidim wearing a kittel and others, the night of Pesach is a big issue, But to me, it just goes along with the whole approach. Everything was very simple and straightforward. They didn't make, Anyway. Tzaddik hey. Admor Marashab, the Rebbe Rashab says, Beleilas HaSeder Lefnei She'osim Dover Minyoni HaSeder. Before you begin with the Seder, Tzorech Listakel Atoch HaSeder. I was telling you this yesterday. You have to look into the Seder and to see what you're doing. Kadesh. Urchatz. Before Yachatz. Yachatz. Again, don't go overboard and don't scream at anyone that doesn't do it this way. This is the way that Rashab did it. You want to do it this way? Great. Tzadik Vav. Beleil Pesach of Ne'asiris Seder, the night of Pesach before you make the Seder. Mitzvah Lachalak of Neged Klois Vaguzim, it's a mitzvah. He used the word mitzvah because it says it on Shulchan Aruch. You should distribute to the children nuts, and today I think most people use probably chocolate. So they should see a difference. How's this different? What are you giving me chocolate throughout the year? Tati, Abba, you make kiddush, you don't give us chocolate. Mitzvah. I'm sorry, and you fulfill the mitzvah of Simchas Yom Tov because the children get excited from the nuts and the chocolate and all that. So it's part of Simcha. Before Yom Tov will cover Yom based on how much money you have, you should buy some new items for your wife or your children. Now, regarding giving nuts and chocolate before the Seder, I haven't really seen a kapeh that it has to be done that way. So if you forgot to give the chocolate, don't lose your cool. Give them later the chocolate. Give them twice as much. Okay, kaira. We're up to the kaira now. Tzadik Zayin. Kaira sasedehi orcha shemechilas apritim imam. The kaira means what's on there with all the details. The pritim yisbatzu mitzvahs and hog meshchalil say the different customs. Tzadik Ches. When do we set the kaira up? At night, when we return from Shul of Nea Kiddush. That's number one. Number two, the Rebbe didn't sit while he prepared the kaira, he stood. And when he did that, he would read silently to himself the words, in other words, Chazeres, Kohen, Levi, as he prepared the Seder, he said the words quietly. Right? What does it say? You look into the Seder. it says Hazroya, the shank bone, Liyamin. So he actually said, as he was putting the Zroya, Hazroya Liyamin. I try to do that, if you're able to do that, it's great. And then he put the Zroya. Kuf, makpidim shetehei kaira l'chol ben mitzvahs. It's better if you can have a kaira for anyone, for all that are over bar mitzvah. In the parenthesis, he says, even for children under bar mitzvah, if you have, you want to be mechanech, then for chinuch, do it as well. By the Rebbe's Seder, every one of the participants, there must have been 20 participants, show they had the kaila with 3 matzahs and their own minim. So, if you have guests, Avi, or you're a guest, they ask you, would you like your own kaira? The answer is, if it's not a big bother, the answer is yes. Okay?
We're talking about also, we're talking about everybody. Men, women.
No, not women, just men. Sorry. All men over bar mitzvah.
All men over bar mitzvah.
Yeah, but again, if there's not enough, don't share a kaira.
Use seichel.
Use seichel, exactly. But no, because I've been, sometimes over the years I asked, would you like a kaira? And some people say no. I prefer, because with the balagan, with the matzah and the wine, and and the egg rolling down, it's a whole production.
Yeah.
But the truth is, if you're able to, everyone should have their own kaira. And then it's question is, there's room on the table. So he's saying this.
Also, Rebbe, you mean the kaira, the Seder plate, and the matzah plate, both?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not a din yoini. You understand that you don't have to do it this way. He's saying it's understandable. It's chashuv. It's chashuv. When someone feels they have their own kaira, it's a whole different chashivut. You're important. You're a master. It's Pesach. So let me just finish to the end of the page, if you don't mind. B'meshach kol seder. What?
Is the same Indian because in Chabad everybody makes Kiddush? Like my family, everybody makes Kiddush.
Everyone makes Kiddush, not Chabad. Almost everyone, because of the 4 koises, so everyone should make Kiddush.
No, I'm talking about Shabbos. I'm not talking about Yom Tov. I'm talking about regular Shabbos.
On Shabbos, what do you mean? If there's other guests, male guests, or boys over?
Yes, boys over 13. In my family, we all make Kiddush.
You don't have to. People do it. Yeah, whatever. No. But there's a difference, because here you have a chiyuv of the arba koises. Now let me just. B'meshach kol seder, kol zman ha-seder, nimtza koises ha-rebi liyamin ha-kaire. I don't know why he says this, but he says that the entire time of the seder, the Rebbe's kois was to the right of the kaira. I never heard that. I don't know how he knows that, but tzarech laniach kaira mamish tachas hamatzos. Moshe, this answers your question.
Wait. I'm sorry, Davin. Can we just go back to Kuf Aleph? He says matzos.
No, Kuf Aleph, he says that the Rebbe had his kois always to the right of the kaira.
Okay.
But I told you I never heard this before, and I don't understand. But that's what he says.
Okay, but he says the matzahs, he writes in bold, matzahs basis hakara.
Now he's starting to say that he's explaining now that the matzahs are the base of the kaira. This is what I told you the other day when you asked. Look at Kuf Beis.
Yeah.
Tzarech laniach kaira mamish tachas hamatzos. You have to put something under the matzah. Now he says an actual kaira. I grew up with a napkin being under my matzahs. That's the way not a napkin, sorry. With a paper, the brown paper we doubled over. And the point is there should be something under the matzah.
Okay, but what's on top of the matzahs? The kara.
On top of the matzah kara, but each of the matzah has to be separated with a napkin or a cloth. They make these, you guys have in the stores, so it's not expensive. They have 3 slots. But if you don't have what?
How do you? For example, I have one of those.
Yeah.
But in order so that when if you put the whole seder, if you put the whole kara on top of that, you're going to break the matzahs.
No, you're not.
Right?
No. No. What do you mean if you put a heavy kaira? That's what you mean.
Yeah.
No, so we don't. Yeah. No, so that's not the way to do it.
So I'm asked. That's my question.
So the top layer of cloth. On top of that, we put the kaira items, and I told you maybe on a napkin, not something heavy.
Okay.
Listen, I'm sure they make real kairas with a separation between the top matzah and the kaira, which meaning there's like new little legs that separate the top and from the matzah, so you won't be smashing.
Yeah.
So he says in the Rebbe's household they put it on the kaira items on a napkin, not on a kaira, like you were saying before. Milvad the Rebbe hamasader amatzas al tashel kesef. So the bottom line is that you should have, 3 matzahs, and the bottom matzah should be on top of either a cloth, paper, or a napkin, or some kind of item, plastic, whatever. But in other words, the matzah should not be directly on the table. You follow? Okay, I have another shiur, so I have to go now. We'll see everyone tomorrow, and we will learn. Take care, everybody. Slocha. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.